Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave once again. Hope you're well and recovering quite nicely after the gorging yourselves on those lovely chocolate Easter eggs. It's been quite a nice Easter, weather-wise. Not so good to on the Monday, Easter Monday. Wasn't quite so good, but it was quite a nice weekend overall. A couple of things I wanted to say. Most importantly, the first one today, and it's quite obviously the most important, is to thank everybody. Now, over the last week, we actually, between us, you and I, we went over the 200 subscriber mark. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I can only describe, as I've said before, this Olympic style, Olympic standard drivel that you all seem to know and love quite so much and so well. So I'm happy to keep the level down to the Olympic drivel level and welcome more of you to join us as we progress forward. So I hope you all had a lovely Easter, as I say, and welcome to the all the new subscribers. Looking forward to another sort of productive forward session. Now at the moment I'm just walking around. I'm just making myself a quick cup of excuse me, a quick cup of coffee. Sometimes I do treat myself having a cup of coffee made with milk, and today is one of those occasions, so I hope you don't mind super indulging myself. So anyway, here we go. A couple of things I wanted to bring forward. One of those, quite simply, is that the YouTube is becoming a bit like the Matrix, isn't it? You know, you either take a green pill, a red pill or a blue pill. Now, personally, I can sort of do quite happily. I've unsubscribed from quite a few of the usual channels that I used to frequent on a regular basis. Haven't missed them at all, because they are basically what I've discovered, or just not recently discovered, but what you'll find is I subscribe now to very few channels that I go back to on a regular basis. One of those channels that I do enjoy going back to is I do like Paris. Paris is a bit of fun, plays a little bit of music, gets hammered for it by losing all of the streams, and there's some quite interesting chat. You get a few interesting characters on there. So big up to Paris. Well done for all of your content. I know exactly what it's like when you do make contributions to putting out on the internet, whether you do it live and face the consequences of losing all that effort and work as you do on a quite regular basis. So thank you, very much for all of your work, which you lose. But you do contribute regularly, so thank you. On another thing, this is just an observation, nothing personal. Please don't take this the wrong way. I know some of you will probably, but I don't really care, because this is my personal opinion, and we've all got our personal opinion. Now, quite regularly, when you do settle down to a channel, you think, oh, this could be interesting, and you get, let's say for argument's sake, let's say I subscribe to 10 channels. Now what you'll find is that channel 1 to 10 is probably frequented by the same people. So you'll be watching channel 1, for a couple of hours or whatever on in the background, and you'll get the same 5 or 6 names that go on and argue. They keep arguing all the time. They don't actually bring anything to the table other than arguments, which which is just a little bit just annoying, really. What's the point of going on and arguing with complete strangers that you probably walk past in the street and wouldn't give them the time of day? And as I said before, nobody on here are friends. We are at the best virtual acquaintances. Occasionally people do do meet up and they strike up proper friendships and so on, but on the whole, you know, you could walk past people that you argue with and not even know who they are in the street. But which leads me on to one of the other things that I really do get annoyed about is not so much the arguments, because I can just turn it off, which is what I do nowadays when you get 5 or 6 people all trying to overspeak and overtalk each other, and it just becomes like a big barroom brawl. So I'm not interested in listening to any of that. Once it starts to get into that situation, I turn off and you know, sort of can't be bothered with watching the rest of it or even going back to it after 10-15 minutes or so. So that's that. But one of the things that really does grind my gears is when you get people do go on channels, you know, regular contributors, and that's absolutely fantastic, because without people going on to live streams and contributing with the host and interacting with the other guests, one of the things that is really surprising and disappointing for me is that when people go on there and they've got really inferior and cheap and tacky, horrible microphones, and it doesn't cost an awful lot to get a decent sort of lavalier mic. Just plug it in, clip it on, you know, if you're using a phone, just clip it onto your lapel, you know, and all the rest of it. And excuse me, I'm just doing my coffee. My coffee's just ready. Yeah, so, you know, invest in a cheap and cheerful lavalier microphone, nothing as lavish as I'm using at the moment. I've got a radio mic, and I quite often use these mics when I do my outside stuff with my Canon camera. So it just adds a little bit decent quality sound. I mean, sound is as important as visual on these streams, because like myself, I'm not so looking at visuals anymore, unless it's a travel program. You know, I do like travel programs. You know, I'm subscribed to quite a few channels that do travelling abroad and all that sort of stuff, especially when they go to places that I've been to. So that's nice to be able to watch that, but they all use decent microphones. They do make an effort to you know, to contribute and make their output as best quality as they can with regards to the sound as well as the vision. But when you get people, and I'm not naming names, although I could do, and I mean you in particular, not you, but you. So we go on, and when I would imagine that the people that are contributing with, and now this is just a blind guess, that use headphones with a microphone. You know the sort, they've got a headphone with a microphone and they can move the microphone quite close to their mouth. Well, what you really ought to, I'm not a sound engineer, but trust me, I've trod the boards and I've been involved with music in one way or another and all the rest of it. But what I would suggest you do is, for anybody that's got one of those headsets with a microphone, is to turn the output level up, move the microphone further away from your mouth, and just speak normally rather than shouting, because all that happens is everything you say just pops. You can't understand a word, and you know, just continually trying to overshout somebody just makes it more and more of a mess, and it spoils the whole thing when, you know, 4 or 5 people are all trying to do the same, and it becomes like a big crowd scene in a pub where you know, somebody's whoever's got the loudest voice wins. But it doesn't happen like that, because by then I've more than likely turned off, and well, like so many others, I just can't be bothered to listen to all that melee and unpleasantness. But like I say, you'll get the same 4 or 5 people or 6 people that will go from one channel to another channel, and they'll bring the same argument to the next channel, which leaves the channel host in a bit of a difficult situation, because it's those people that are the channel hosts that are lambasted for the people that go on there. So let's say, for argument's sake, a certain group of people, and I'm not naming names, you all know who I mean, will quite happily go on to channel number 1, create havoc, leave the channel owner in a very bad condition, very bad state, and they'll probably take 4 or 5 days to recover from it. And if they're lucky, they won't get a strike from YouTube for the behaviour of these 4 or 5 individuals, who constantly then move on to channel number 2, do the same there, and they create their mayhem wherever they go, but they never use their own channels for doing that. Why is that? Well, it's quite often they don't want to trash their own channel, so they'd rather use someone else's platform, trash theirs, I just don't understand. I really can't understand. But that's 1 or 2 things there. Another thing, quite simply, why do so many people have so many hours to watch YouTube? I don't watch anywhere near as much as I used to. Now, I don't have it on during the day, because I've got things to do. I've got I've got work, DIY around the property. I've got projects on the go. I'm always busy, always working somewhere. But it would seem that some people seem to have more time than anything else. What I would suggest, and this is just my personal view, is that why don't those people that are sitting on YouTube nearly all day just unplug YouTube? Instead of taking the red pill or the blue pill, don't take any pill and stay off YouTube. It's becoming a bit like the Matrix, isn't it? You're either fully engaged, and you don't come off for 12 hours, or you're like me, you drop in and drop out. I like to go in. I do enjoy listening to Paris. Paris, if you catch this, I always enjoy going on yours. I like the way you quite often don't have anybody on, and you monologue, you play some records, and occasionally, sadly, you get a copyright strike for the music, and you lose all that work. But it's good that the way that you keep all the troublemakers off. You can block people and all the rest of it. But I just, it's difficult to know what to do. But when people start to argue on panels, I just can't be bothered to watch, sit through it, because it's not going to get any better. Once they get down to the level of shouting at each other, and this is another thing that really grinds my gears. If I had £1 for every time anybody said, "I've got the evidence," ka-ching. "I've got the files," ka-ching. "I'm going to bring proof," ka-ching. Well, here is my simple solution to those sort of people who have got all this evidence, blah blah blah. Why don't you get it all geared up, ready to play, keyed up, ready, so that when somebody says, "I've got the evidence," and somebody will call you out and say, "We'll play it now," you can say, "Right, here we go. I will play it now." So, to all those people, just if you've got something to prove, something to play, something that you want to upload that is evidence, get it ready to play when you go on these channels and panels, and you make the statement, "I've got the files," have them ready. You'll get called out for it. If you've got any evidence, any files, proof of this, proof of that, and then look at your own history. You've probably said things, so people have got files on other people, and that's not what YouTube is all about, really, is it? We should be having a lot of fun on it. It should be used for the medium that it is. It's for the good of everybody, but it seems to be being dragged down to the lowest common denominator that sadly YouTube seems to promote. It does get views. People do enjoy having a good argument, and some people do enjoy listening to it. It's a bit like listening to when your neighbours round next door when you were kids, and you're all sitting there with your ear up against the wall, and I just, what is the point of that? What is the point? So once it gets to that level, I just unplug, and I'm out of there. Look, there's plenty of other channels. I've found loads of different channels that are disconnected from anything that I've ever gone get involved with in the past. But but my suggestion would be, I'm just having a quick wander through at the moment. I'm just walking into a music room. This is on the right there. You can see my fretless bass guitar. Next to that is the 6-string acoustic. In front of that is my 15-watt practice amp, and then to the left of that is my seat, my 2, 4, 7 harmonicas, and then my 61-key keyboard, which keeps me busy for a couple of hours every so often. I do enjoy coming in. Some of my mates come over sometimes. We have a bit of a giggle and a laugh. So we have a sing-song and a blast through, and But it seems that a lot of people that do go on YouTube don't have anything better to do than to sit there and take the red pill or the blue pill or whatever it is, and just totally immerse themselves in YouTube. Now, I have to say, for my sins, I have invested in the premium. The benefits of premium, as far as I'm concerned, far outweigh what the the level of content. There's so much more to. I'm not. They're not promoting me to say this, but if anybody is thinking about going to premium, if you look around, you'll probably be able to get at the least 1 month free. I was fortunate to get 3 months free before I signed up. I was going to sign up anyway, but I enjoyed 3 months free. But the benefits, the benefits are, you got music, you get ads, you get ad free, no breaks in any of the ads. And if you're watching on different devices like a tablet, some of the benefits there you can use are really quite interesting, and it's not worth me going into that now, but I do listen to a lot of stuff on my tablet, especially if late at night. I like to take the tablet, and you can just let it run. But the benefits of premium, I think they're worth looking at. Even if you use it for 1 month, just give it a go. You get a free month out of it, and the benefits are really quite worth the investment. Excuse me while I just have a slurp of my coffee. I might have to put it back in the microwave. I've been waffling on. It's gone a bit cooler. So I'm just going to pop it back in. So anyway, I hope you all had a lovely weekend, a lovely Easter weekend. I did. I spent a week at home. I get involved with lots of things, hobbies. I do enjoy going to my local shooting club. I was there Friday, Sunday. I was there yesterday. I'm going again Friday. I live quite an active social life. I was out last night. I'm out tonight. I'm going out tomorrow night, and that's it then until next week. So 3 nights out, and each one is a meeting and a meal involved. So, which leads me on to quite nicely actually. I was quite impressed with that. Oh, that's my coffee. So this is something I was going to do. I should have done this at the beginning of the year, really, but like most people, over Christmas we do overindulge. And myself, I was diagnosed. I just want to share this with you. I was diagnosed about 13 years ago as being celiac, and it's not something you can be cured with. You have to live with it, and I'm not giving any tips, so I can't be struck for giving out any information. But some of the food that the food alternative, the gluten-free stuff, is loaded with different stuff, But what I found was that I gave it 6 full years of strictly adhering to a gluten-free diet, which included no alcohol, no beer, should I say. I can drink wine, but beer is made with wheat. So you know, I came off of that. And you have to think about everything else. Every other product that's got wheat or gluten in it, which is, just think about it for a minute, and I'll give you a few examples. Just think, if you're not supposed to eat biscuits, cake, pastries. So if you're walking down a high street somewhere and you think, oh, I fancy a quick drink, you can go in for a drink, but you can't drink any beer. You can't have a roll, you can't have a pasty, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So it tends to be a bit restrictive of where you can and can't eat. Some of the restaurants are fine, but anyway, I was on this restricted diet for 6 full years, and after 6 years I really didn't feel any benefit of it, so I decided, what the hell, so I just went back to a standard diet. But after a certain time, the severe symptoms used to come back, and after getting Christmas out of the way, I was going to go back to you know, gluten-free life, which is really quite bland if you don't eat gluten-free products either. Even to the point where, even if you eat a basic meal, whatever you cook, you know, even if you look making gravy with gravy granules, that's got gluten in it, so you can't even have proper gravy with your meal, even if there's no gluten in any of the products. You can make your own pastry, gluten-free pastry, which is good. Some of it is really quite good. But when you think, you know, how restrictive it is, it can be a bit annoying. But with regards to myself, I went on for 6 years. I was on a total gluten-free diet, and I'll give you one example. If you buy a loaf of bread, you can pick up a really cheap and cheerful loaf of bread. I don't know, £1. If you're lucky, you can get £1. If you buy a gluten-free loaf of bread, have a look the next time you're shopping. Is go to a supermarket, just have a look, see how much a gluten-free loaf of bread is. I'll be surprised if you get it for less than £3, and it's less than 2/3 the size of a proper loaf. And if you use it for sandwiches, before you can actually get it off the plate, the bread is breaking up. Although it does toast up all right, but it doesn't, you know. The only gluten-free product that I found that was half decent compared to the original was cornflakes. Cornflakes seem to be as near to the original as you know, you could get. So that was my breakfast of choice. I don't eat breakfast most days, but if I did want something, that would normally do it for me. But that's enough of that. So anyway, we're now getting to the point where I don't subscribe to that many channels anymore. I tend to go to 4 or 5, 6 or 7, but the same names come up on all of those channels, and they bring the same arguments all the time. You know, that's why I've unsubscribed to a lot of channels that bring all of that unpleasantness to you know, to the channel and to the host owner of the channel, and it leaves the person who tries to put out content at rather a bad disadvantage, especially after the troublemakers go in. They create, you know, havoc, use certain language and all sorts of language. And I'm not talking about you know, swear words and all the rest of it, but hate speech. And then the same people will strike the channel, and the channel owner gets a strike. And so I just don't understand the reasoning behind doing that. But I do enjoy listening to YouTube as more of a background than watching it on my TV. Because when I do have, if I'm in the lounge, I have it on the TV. Occasionally I listen on the phone. I was listening to something. I was out yesterday. I had quite a long drive to come home, and I put YouTube on, and it was playing back in the afternoon. It was on for about 3 hours, but you know, I was away, quite away yesterday before I got home. It was just nice to have something on in the background that wasn't argumentative. So that was quite nice, a bit of a change from the usual radio radio that comes on, and but that was nice. But yeah. So anyway, listen, I'm out this evening. I've got a meeting to go to. I'm out tomorrow. Got a meeting to go to. I was out last night. I didn't get home till about 8 o'clock. So what I would suggest is, for those of you that have nothing better to do than to sit on YouTube, pretty much what must be most of the day, just unplug and just do, let's say, for argument's sake, you're on the YouTube, let's say between 10 and 2, 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Why don't you just say, I'm going to not go on between those hours, even if you get notifications to say that certain people are live and all the rest of it. You can always watch it on catch up at a more convenient time. But there's an awful lot of streams nowadays that go on, not just for an hour or so, which is ideally for me. That's about my attention span. After about an hour, if it's late at night, I'm probably asleep before it finishes. But some of these streams now go on for 9, 10, 12 hours. Now, who the hell has got time to listen? You have to look at yourself. Where are those 9 hours going to come from? Listening to somebody on the YouTubes spouting a lot of old drivel for 9 or 10 hours or longer. What's the point of that? I just don't understand it. Is there a point to a 10-hour stream? If you go in and say, right, this is a 10-hour stream, at the end of it, this is going to be the outcome. Well, you know that as soon as it starts, there's going to be arguing, and you know that by the 10 hours, there's going to be arguing that is going to end the stream. So I just think sometimes that the channel hosts or providers just can't keep a handle or a grip on the content or the people that go on. Now, I've noticed recently that some of the channels have been overtaken by a group of individuals who go from one channel to another channel and collectively conspire to upset the host and infiltrate the chat, make it toxic so that everybody's arguing. The host has lost the plot, everybody's fed up, but the people that cause all the havoc have got their own channels that don't do this on their own channels. So you have to think, why do they do that? Well, it's because they like to spread their hatred and awful unpleasantness and all that malarkey. But like I say, doing this for me is good because I can just spout my drivel, and you can either listen or not listen. I really don't care. As I said before, this is Olympic standard drivel, and you know really that it is what it is. I do listen to some other people who do the same as this. They go live and when they do this, but I prefer to record it. I don't edit any of these when I do these monologues or whatever you want to call it. Like I say, at the moment, I've just got the camera pointing at my music equipment, and I can just have a wander around. But like I say, with contributors who do enjoy adding to live streams, if you could, it would be far better if you could invest in even a cheap microphone. It would enhance what you say, and it would sound so much better at the other end. But like I say, I've been involved with music one way or another for years, and there's nothing worse than a cheap and cheerful microphone when it starts to pop. People these days have got decent gear at home, and when I listen to people who probably got a microphone with a headset that's 2 inches from their mouth, the only thing you can hear is popping. You just can't understand a word they say. Sorry for the break there, people. The doorbell rang. Unfortunately, I had to break that off. So if it sounds a bit disjointed, I do apologise. Catch up on the next one. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye bye.